everybody. Live from Denver. It is Friday night. Hello and welcome to Critical Conversations, the show where you get to talk to us. And I am joined, as always, by my beautiful wife, Melissa.
Hello.
And the show, we have had our various pitfalls. We are back from our week-long vacation. I was seeing some of the comments before the show starts here. They don't show up on the feed, but you guys were talking about Scientology, the musical, and I wanted, before I forgot about anything with that, I wanted to say I'm absolutely 1,000% endorsing the idea. Yes. However, I will only go see it. Well, let's say the top of my list of people that I believe should produce that show, Scientology, the musical, would be Trey and Matt.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because Book of Mormon is a beautiful thing. I haven't actually seen it yet. I've seen snippets.
We need to see that. We do.
And we really need to see it. And apparently it hopefully will come back around.
Yeah, I think it might be.
Yeah. And I would love to see them give that level of treatment to Scientology, where they, you know, there's a little bit of fair and balanced, you know, stuff there. You know, they've always had a little bit of a nuanced look at Mormonism, and I'd like to see that with Scientology too. But I would very much like to see the nonsense in Scientology ridiculed. So, hey everybody, yeah. Did you borrow one of my shirts? No, no. No,
this is my shirt.
Yeah, she is Batman 1,000%.
Oh yeah.
Now, this week you might notice she is laptopless, and I am. I'm using an Apple laptop. I'm using hers.
Yep.
Mine is in the shop. And
he's not burning.
We're experimenting.
He's using an Apple computer, and he's not burning.
I'm not burning. No, I'm not burning. On the outside, I'm burning with hate on the inside. Just kidding. I get along with Apple products just fine. But anyway, yeah. So I've got the comments here. She does not.
Yep,
so
I can't see the comments.
Yeah,
tonight.
so she's going to help, obviously, as always. And, of course, the biggest help is her contribution to the show. Make no mistake. But I'll be running things over here. R.R. Smith, thank you very much for that super chat. Very appreciated. Happy Friday right back to you.
Yeah, happy Friday.
So we were deficient today. There were some changes and some mix-ups and some this and some that. And so we did not get 7cam. But before you hang us and burn us in effigy or in reality...
All right, I'll go grab him because I think he left.
Yeah, he was here and he left. So Mel is going to go grab him so we get a 7 appearance this week, because we do not want to deny you guys 7, the Wonder Cat, OT7, our little bundle of furry joy, for 2 weeks in a row. We do not want to do that to you. We know how much 7's fan base cares and loves and adores him and wants to see him, even though 7 doesn't seem to have, and we keep telling him, we keep regaling him with stories of his fame and fortune and glory on the internet. And I don't think he believes us. He just doesn't seem to really go along with the whole, you know, fame and fortune thing. But Mel is trying to entice him right now with snacks and treats and catnip, and we'll see if she succeeds in dragging him over here for his special cameo appearance. Here we go. Here he is. All right, our little bundle of furry joy, our OT7. Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy. he is so Garfield-like in so many ways when it comes to getting attention from people.
Yeah, you'll get your treat now.
He is awesome though. So that was our quick shot cameo of OT7 for this week. Yeah, he's awesome. Okay, so vacation. Let's go ahead and talk about that for a second, just because it was significant and there was fun.
Yeah.
There was fun experience.
Yeah,
yeah, and there were moments of joy and rapture. What we did was we went out for a week on a little road trip. We flew out to California. And that's where my brother and my mother live. And so we visited with them, and I got to visit with my 4-year-old nephew,
Yeah.
Cooper. He is the boy, is he.
He's adorable.
He is adorable. He's very energetic.
Yes.
He's very talkative.
Yes.
He is also kind of insulting sometimes. So Cooper was fun. I really do enjoy hanging out with him, and of course seeing my brother and his wife and my mom was awesome. So we spent a few days there. Also got to go down to Miramar and get a little tour down there with a friend, and then we drove up to
Eugene,
Oregon. Yeah. And then we went up to Portland. And so my dad and his wife live up there. And so we visited with them. And that was good. It was the first time I've seen my dad in 5 years in person. And that was very needed that we do that. And so I was very, very happy to make that finally happen. We wanted to do it last year, but COVID. And we wanted to do it the year before, but something happened. So this has been a long time in planning. And it was finally like, this is happening. I don't care about COVID anymore. I don't care about any of this other stuff. We're vaccinated. They're vaccinated. We're doing this. And so we went out and did it. And does Cooper have the body things? Probably. I think that's probably where his evil comes from. Because deep down, he, of course, is a little angelic a being. So then the noteworthy things were we got to spend a little bit of FaceTime with Jeff Hawkins up in Portland, because that's where he lives. My wife got to meet him.
Yeah, it was very nice. I got a little sick that day, but
yeah, we did get some stomach flu stuff. I think probably there or coming home.
Yeah,
a little bit, no big deal, nothing. We got tested, everything's fine. But stomach flu does kind of suck. I recover faster than Mel, but is what it is. And but also in Portland, and this was actually really important for me, probably more important than it should have been, maybe almost a pilgrimage for me, is how I was describing it, is we got to go to Powell Books. And Powell's is it's a city of books. It's a block,
city block
building that has over a million books in that building. It's like 4 levels of a bookstore. This almost all books. There's a little tiny game section, but it's mostly books and books and books and books
and more books
and more books. And I think they use Dewey Decimal to sort them, because they got multiple floors with different topics and subject matter. And it's actually, they have a whole computerized indexing system to find everything. And if you know me, and I think most of you guys do, then you probably know that I'm really into books. Have been my whole life. Books are really important to me. As a medium for communicating knowledge, I just don't think they've ever been really beat. I can't read a book online or on screen like I can when I'm actually got the book in my hand. I'm one of those people, and I've read books online. I've got a Kindle, but it's just not really the same as holding that book, turning those pages. It's significant, and it always has been. Since I was a little kid, I was a library fiend, and I've worked at libraries. I'm just all about books. So this was a pilgrimage for me, and because this is one of the best bookstores in the world.
Yeah.
And I absolutely loved it. I'll stop going on about it now, because I know it's just me, but it was awesome. And of course, yes, I thought you were going to say, give the org the finger for a second there, not a bookstore. That happened too. I actually posted that picture on my channel.
Portland org the finger.
Yeah, we did. We went by Portland and the org there. I have been to that org. I helped put that org there. I knew the staff there. I recognized some of the staff when we went by. It is, we went right over there. I wanted to see the existing location in context with everything else around it, because I had never seen that building open to the public. I was only around when they were still buying, renovating, that kind of thing. So it was interesting. We did not go in, and it's kind of my thing to not go challenge or rile people up or be a dick or go argue with people or something. So I didn't go anywhere near any of that. I didn't want to engage with the staff there. They knew who I was. I'm pretty sure they would have recognized my face if I hadn't. We had our masks on because everywhere in Portland it was masks.
Yeah,
right.
Even outside.
Yeah, and California too, to a great degree. And we were okay with that. We masked up. You know, it's what we should do. It's a responsible thing to do, so we did it. But going by the org, of course, having my mask on, I don't think anybody recognized me, and I was okay with that. And I didn't go challenge them or go in there and be boisterous or you know, anything like that. I recognized some of the same staff there that I had last seen. I think it's been 10 years since I was last in Portland at that church. And it's sad. It really is kind of how I felt, seeing those same people schlepping it out 10 years later.
Yeah.
For no good reason. The org is always empty. We asked around. Jeff talked to us. I've talked to other people from Portland. And, you know, the building it's not a big, booming, crazy, expanding scene. If anything, they've been losing people. And it's really just kind of sad. And that's kind of how I felt being there was, ugh, you know, these people. So that was kind of that experience. But it was, of course, you know, nice to give them the finger, too. That's of course to Scientology in general, not those specific staff. I do use street epistemology. Thank you for asking me that. No nasty Nathaniel style for me. I'm actually on record as saying that is counterproductive. Don't do it. Don't go antagonize people who are in cults. It only serves to make them double down mentally, psychologically, and they will only be harder to get out. Instead, you plant seeds in a calm, rational manner in a way that they will be willing to listen. That's how you do it. Maybe I should have done that, but I wasn't going there with a plan, and I didn't really think it through. So it was really spur of the moment. And if I'd thought about it more, I might have actually tried to engage with one of them that way. But it wasn't really in the spirit of what we were doing in that moment. So I would have wrecked that orc's bathroom. Jesus. Yeah, it just exactly, Jay. It just reinforces the us versus them thought prison. So yeah, all right. So that was our vacay, and I don't know. What do you want to say about it? I don't want to sit here and just monologue.
I had fun when we were visiting with our friends, and later when we were all drunk in the hotel. We found at a gas station, no less, this Wild Roots vodka.
Oh my God!
It was cinnamon and apple. It was amazing, especially if you mix it with stuff like. It was really good. So
yeah, and it was like apple cider.
Yeah.
Vodka. I mean, it was vodka.
Weird. Yeah, it sounds weird, but it tastes delicious.
It was really good. Yeah, and it was not. I mean, we found it in a gas station. I mean, that kind of. It wasn't like it was a rundown.
No, it was like kind of like a stop for people. You know, nicer gas station. It wasn't like some, rusty old gas station in the middle.
Right, and out in the middle of the forest of Oregon. Yeah. Anyway, it was really good. I was surprised. It was tasty. That was good stuff. So we had a good time with that. And of course, actually, the other thing I'll say about connecting up with my dad and my stepmom is I really felt like we really established a stronger connection, especially with my stepmom, my dad's wife.
Yeah, she's great.
Never been a Scientologist, has nothing to do with it. Actually Christian. And we just had the best time.
Some delicious chocolate chip cookies.
Oh my God. She makes the bomb diggity chocolate chip cookies. She puts extra chocolate chips in there, or she's got them in the middle somehow. It's just amazing. Man, and she gave us like 2 bags. It was like she gave us a bag, and then we were like, "Can we have some more?" And she was like, "Yeah, I got lots more." So that was awesome. Okay, so that is our vacation. Debriefing. So now somebody's asking about a quote, and you actually do have a quote for us for this week. So let's jump on to our little agenda here. Go for it.
All right. So once again, I am reading from Things We Talk About, and it doesn't really have an author. It's just Pandora Owl, so we don't know who this person is. But so this is a little piece of one of their poems that I wanted to read. This whole cancel culture should be canceled. None of us are perfect. We have all made mistakes, and none of us are who we were 5 years ago. Our mistakes do not make us. If you believe that, then you are mistaken. If we lose hope on others, we lose hope on ourselves. We start to become fearful, not fearless.
Boom. Yeah, I like that quote.
Yeah, I like it too. I've just been, I don't know. It's frustrating. I know some people deserve to like lose all credibility in career sometimes, but I think we go too far with a lot of people.
Yeah, I agree with that. I definitely agree that the Weinsteins of the world need to go down. The Scott Rudins of the world need to go down, right?
Yeah.
The really, truly abusive people who abuse their power, abuse their authority, ridicule their juniors, make light of things that shouldn't be made light of, yeah, cool, right? But I think that we get into a little bit of a mob mentality with that when these campaigns start, and I think we all know that. I don't think I'm speaking Martian here. I think everybody understands what we're talking about. And I thought maybe next week we might do freedom of speech or speech as a topic to talk about. So she found this quote along those lines, and I thought that would be a good thing to discuss.
Yeah.
So good quote, baby.
Thank you.
Yeah. This week, we are talking about bad critical thinking, which is also, by the way, the subject that was on my mind because it's the subject of our podcast this week. I just yesterday recorded it with Cyprian. We did a talk, a dialogue about people who get into conspiracy theories. And I wasn't really going to go there today with this, but in the podcast, we talk about specifically people who get into conspiracy theories and claim that they are good critical thinkers, but are in fact not. And rather than that just being an opinion, I actually dug up a study. I have a study here that showed, actually, it claims to be the first study ever done where actual testing, sit down, do a test on critical thinking skills was carried out, and along with that testing was surveying and interviews about their conspiracy beliefs. So there was an actual ability to correlate with physical tests, and there were two sets of testing done on a few hundred college students over in France. That's where this study was done. It was published this year. It was done last year, and it came up with the result that while some conspiracy-minded people or conspiracy theorist-type people might say that they are applying critical thinking and being good critical thinkers and really using the full range of critical thinking skills and of knowledge, on testing them, they test out to be not as good critical thinkers as they claim.
I'm just curious what kind of conspiracy theories the French come up with about their government.
Oh, interesting ones. Interesting ones. If you actually want to take a ride down the crazy hole, go look up conspiracy theories in other countries. Go look up the kind of conspiracy theories they come up with in India or Iran about COVID. Your eyes will open wide. It is a very interesting thing because you think you know all about conspiracy theories because of the American conspiracy theories or the more westernized conspiracy theories like flat Earth, 9/11 truthers, maybe some of the U.S. government stuff. Yeah, chemtrails, MK Ultra. Going back to Tuskegee, which was not a conspiracy theory, that actually happened, but using that as a launching point for other conspiracy theories revolving around MK Ultra, mind control, remote viewing. We'd see this with Scientology. They have their own little brand of conspiracy theories out there. But when you go look at what they spread around in India, like Iran has America creating COVID as the super weapon to destroy Iran. Right? Which, of course, nobody here is talking about, because that's not what's on our mind, because we don't care, and none of us are actually creating COVID to go destroy Iran. But that's what they think, and that's what they're pushing over there. So you can have some really wild views of conspiracies out there. Yeah, no thanks. I've gone down American rabbit holes. Yeah, totally, DJ, totally. Okay. Yeah, exactly. Conspiracy theorists are some of the least critical thinkers I've ever encountered. That is exactly the point. And that is, now we have an actual academic study that shows that. It's only one study. We need many more. This is the first time that actual testing has been done. As we say as we talk about in the podcast, there is a tremendous literature on conspiracy theorists and why they think the way they do, and what motivates them, where they form their conspiracy theories, how community forms around them. There's a lot of stuff written up about this, and it's been studied for a number of years. But this is the first time we see them actually testing these guys. So that's kind of interesting, and I'd like to see more studies like this done on this topic. But so far, it looks very much like it's a lot of bluster when it comes to them talking about how, what good critical thinkers they are and how they use the full range of critical thinking skills. And I'll stress here, because I'm always love talking about this, that critical thinking is not just, knowledge on the cards, which we do every week. It's a discipline. It's something you do, and you have to practice it. Because what you have to do is you have to overcome your brain's natural tendencies to engage in logical fallacies, right? These logical fallacies are not inventions of somebody who is stupid. These are the ways we naturally consume information and process it in a irrational way. And we all do it. Mm-hmm. We all do it. So you have to discipline yourself to train your brain to think and respond and react differently than it normally would when confronted with information or, opinions or facts or ideas or whatever that, you don't necessarily agree with, or you don't know if it's true or not. What do I do with this? How do I figure it out? That's what that's what critical thinking is all about. Now we do have a call in the queue.
Oh, okay.
Yay. And, good, I haven't been keeping David waiting too long here. Call-in line, by the way, is 984-214-4154. Feel free to call in and, drop us a line, talk about this or anything else you want to. We are wide open for all of that, okay? So let's see what David has to say this week. Hello, you are on.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going, man?
Pretty well, yeah. Good to hear you had a good holiday, probably after the last couple of years.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah. I'll start by saying I think it's very good that there now is a study that proves that it's not critical thinking or critical thinking skills that's animating these kind of conspiracy theories. I was certainly alarmed, and I'm sure I wasn't the only one that grew up on Twitter a couple of days, by a New York Times op-ed that said we needed to rethink how we teach critical thinking. It isn't combating misinformation. And everyone's like, if we're not going to teach critical thinking, what are we going to teach instead?
Right.
It's a pretty chilling thought.
That's right. That's it.
Yes.
Yeah, no, this is the skill set you need.
Exactly. And I think it's very poorly taught in schools as it is. So when I was in school, my teacher showed us the Oxford and Cambridge bunk list as the list of subjects that if you have an A level in it, basically don't. Like if you have it as a third A level, you only have 2 A levels. And one of them was critical thinking. And everybody laughed at the idea that you could teach critical thinking as a subject. And I mean, now, a fair while later, I don't believe that. But at the same time, you looked at how it was being taught and what the exam papers were, and they were terrible. You didn't actually learn anything. I mean, it's hard enough to teach these skills as it is without the US's paper of record saying that we shouldn't do it.
Exactly. I could not agree with you more on that. In fact, I was just trying to check and see. I couldn't find which country. I think it was either Sweden or Norway or something. There was one of those countries was developing a media literacy and critical thinking curriculum that would actually, I believe, spanned a few years of the schooling in order to exactly tackle this problem. And I think they've been having some success over there with this. They've been doing it for a couple of years now, but I couldn't find the story on it, but it's out there.
Well, that's very good to hear. I mean, if that was to succeed, it's something that I think would be replicated across the Western world. And about what you said there about like Iranian conspiracy theories as well. Yep. Well, obviously, you know that the Chinese conspiracy theory oscillates between COVID was imported into China through frozen foods. The military games was a bioweapons test. The reason Italy has so many COVID cases is because it originates in Italy. Mm-hmm. It's total insanity.
Exactly.
It's complete total insanity. Every week there's another conspiracy theory, and every week, if you question it, the government will shut you down.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's crazy out there, isn't it?
I will say one thing that absolutely. There's a very funny cover in The Economist lately. Xi Jinping in one of those big virtual reality headsets saying China's new reality. Fun of it has no resemblance to actual reality.
Right. Yeah, we do that sometimes. We get on these fads and rolls about how great other countries are and stuff. And
they're human beings too.
Yeah, surprise! They got problems too.
Yeah. I mean, I think the big one is actually how much time the US spends dicking on itself and calling itself a far-right country, or even calling Donald Trump a fascist. It's like, if you go to most of the world today, literally most of the world, the government is way to the right of Donald Trump.
I'd have to agree with you on that. I would have to agree with you on that. At the same time, I will certainly say that I'm not going to shut up about Trump's, more bizarre the things the guy does are crazy, but I agree with you that, the United States is absolutely not any kind of fascist regime as it's made out to be by people in and out of the country. I think that does get a little ridiculous.
Most dispiritingly by its own citizens.
Yes, and I agree. And I always I hate seeing that, because I'm always like, you guys, you really need to travel more. You really don't know how good we have it here. And I have hardly traveled at all, and I know that,
exactly. Talk to people from other countries.
Like it's, I've been to, I think I've been now to 1, 2, 3, 4 foreign countries. And, for the limited amount of time I spent there, I learned a lot.
Talk to the people who came to the U.S. as refugees.
Yes, exactly.
Talk to them about the country they left behind, and then you'll know what a totalitarian, far-right, fascist government actually looks like.
Exactly. Have to agree with you on that one. I have to let you go, David, because I got another call in the queue.
Okay.
This was awesome, though. I really appreciate you calling in. I love talking to you. You always have insightful things to say.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Talk to you soon.
Good, man. Talk to you soon. All right. Bye-bye. I keep interrupting him. I feel horrible when that happens. There's a little lag.
Yeah.
And I'll say something, then there'll be a lag, and then anyway, I apologize for any jumping the gun I do. I definitely know I like to talk.
Who, you?
Yeah, I know, right? Okay, well, this is a call-in show, so let's see the next one. I believe this is Molly, I believe. 1 second.
Uh-oh.
Hello?
There we go. Hello, hi, you're on.
Hello?
Yep, you're on.
Hey. Hey, nice to talk to you. I've been listening for years. I was just wondering about your guys' trip to Portland
Yeah.
a little bit. But I was wondering, like, an out-of-towner's perspective, like, on the general state of the city. Like, everybody's saying that our city is, like, going downhill, and obviously downtown is kind of a jungle right now, but, like, what's your general impression? Do you think, does it look as bad as people say?
Well, not as bad as they say. Like, I think, it hasn't been burned to the ground or anything like that, but I definitely think they have a huge homeless
Well, there was
problem.
just another fire last night. So.
Oh,
Oh,
God,
no.
there was another fire. Jesus.
Oh, boy. I
Sorry
didn't know
about that.
Yeah. But,
Yeah, I concur with Mel. I mean, there is definitely from the last time I was there, which was about 10 years ago, the homeless problem has increased.
yeah.
Downtown, I'm gonna say, and this is just me. This is just my impressions. And we were only there for like 2 days, right?
Mhm.
So I don't want to be negative Nelly here, but
Right.
I want your honesty.
Yeah, no, but I'm trying to be. I want to be honest with you. And honestly, it felt a bit darker than it felt a decade ago.
Yeah.
It felt lighter when I was there before.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it felt like there was. I don't want to say something as serious as like a pall was over the city, but it felt dark. And when we drove around downtown, and then we went around to the eastern side, on the other side of the river. I don't know what the river is called, but we went over a few bridges and went over to the east end. Yeah, and we drove around in some neighborhoods. We looked at some houses. We were kind of driving around, admiring some of the places, and beautiful homes, absolutely gorgeous. Some of the neighborhoods definitely feel too cramped. I mean, the streets are really narrow in a few places, but that's not a Portland problem. That's just a city planning problem all over America. But as far as Portland went, it felt really great in Powell Book. So it wasn't like the whole city was drab.
Yeah.
Powell's felt great. Going out to eat felt great. We had a great meal. And
where'd you guys go?
Yeah, what was the name of that place? It was like African American Portland or something. I forgot the name of the place, but it was a black-owned restaurant, and they served us great food. We loved it, and that was kind of fun. So going into places still felt Portlandy and nice and friendly.
Yeah.
But walking around in the city, it felt a little unfriendly, and I couldn't quite put my finger on anything specific, but it changed, and I don't think it's changed for the better.
Yeah, I'm just hoping. Well, I think everybody's hoping it gets back. I think we're just still in that lull. It's nice to hear what people on the outside think, at least, because that is how it does feel here, and I think a lot of people feel that way as well. But it's not quite time yet, and nobody's quite sure how to tackle things first. And you're right, the homeless problem is just gotten out of control, and it's very hard to talk about because people are either like lazy, homeless, clear them out, sweep the streets,
right,
or they're like everybody needs a place to live, and it's just so hard to find a middle ground here right now. So I appreciate the perspective, I really do.
Yeah, no problem. I'll say that I can see it easily turning around.
Oh yeah,
because there's so much potential there. There's so many good people. There's so many well-intentioned people there. And that's, what you don't feel in Portland is the antagonism of New York or Chicago or even Hollywood for that matter. I mean, those are places where you really feel like you walk around and people are actively not friendly to you. And I never felt that when we were there.
No.
I just felt like everybody was kind of down. And I thought, boy,
Yeah, no, I feel like you described it really well.
There we
you
go.
described it really well. Just like there's something a little bit darker.
Yeah. Yeah. And I really think it could be turned around with some competent leadership, some positive direction. Maybe, you know, I heard they were doing some stuff, some homeless programs to provide some homes, or see about doing some programs. I really hope mental health is part of that, because I think that's the biggest part of the homeless problem.
It has to be.
Right?
Yeah.
So Portland can lead the way. You know, it could lead the nation in dealing with that if they, you know, get up and actually decide to do something sensible about it.
Yeah, it really is. That, and the police is the number one problem right now. But yeah, everybody's got their own thing.
Yeah, of course. Well, thanks for asking. How are you? How long you been in Portland, and what are you? What are your thoughts on changing the situation there?
I was raised here. I went away for a couple of years, and then I moved back right at the beginning of COVID. And so I'd only been gone for 2 years. I thought I was coming back to, you know, same old city. I was excited to get home. So excited. And yeah, it's been a different place. The homeless situation is out of control. And, you know, there's too many people that are just like, you know, we just need to clear them out. And so, yeah, everybody walks around angry.
Right.
Just because they feel like there's just people, you know, living and pissing on the street and blah, blah, blah. But people here really don't want to pay any more property taxes and this and that. And
right.
It's an antagonistic feeling right now. But I'm hoping it'll get better. I mean, the COVID situation, fingers crossed.
Exactly.
Getting better.
Exactly. Well, seriously, let us really cross our fingers. It seems like there's so little else we can do.
Know,
right? Wear a mask, get vaccinated.
I saw the picture, you guys. Go ahead.
No, so I'm sorry. I cut you off. Please, what were you going to say?
Oh no, I was just going to say, as soon as I saw the picture of you guys there, I was like, oh God, I have to ask them.
Of course.
I need an opinion.
Of course. Well, thanks very much for calling in and talking to us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll call back sometime. Have a great day.
Awesome. Bye-bye. All right. Cool deal. All right. Those are the calls in our queue right now. We still have time if you want to call in. It's 984-214-4154. And there's a call. Oh, there's a call. Okay, that is interesting. Well, we will just pick this up. Hello, you are on.
Oh.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. All right, I think we're going to lose this call.
Yeah, somebody, maybe got disconnected.
Oh, yeah, it looks like they did. Okay, well, if you want to call back in, please do so. We will be more than happy to entertain your call. All right, just kind of checking up on some of the comments as we were talking there. The phone number, premium rate. I don't know. I believe that it is a regular call for anybody calling in the United States.
Yeah.
984-214-4154. That's that. If you call anywhere from in the United States, I think I am paying for that call on my end. That is what your funds help us fund, so we can do this. And because I'm charged by the minute for when people call in, and that's how we do this. So I think that's how that works. Yeah, BC and AC, before COVID and after COVID.
I know, right? God. I mean, I was thinking Denver's a little different downtown now, too, you know?
Oh, he's in Brazil. Jay, I see that you're in Brazil. Okay. Yeah, I don't have it set up for international calls. No. I apologize for that, but it's too expensive for me right now. So I can't put an international number for people to call. I'm just not there yet. Hopefully someday. Hopefully we'll get there. Because I would really love to take people's calls from outside the United States. But right now, it's just not really economically feasible to do so. It's a different number I'd have to get, and there's more fees involved. Yeah. So, all right. At least as things are going now, hopefully in the future. We'll see
Yeah.
if that changes. Now, I wanted to talk a little bit more about the bad critical thinking since we've got a moment here. Wait, maybe we don't. Okay, good. Here we go. Picking up this call. Is this Bill? Hello?
No, my name is Gail.
Oh, Gail. Okay, it misread your thing on the auto screen. Hi, Gail.
It's okay. Thank you. You're doing a great job, by the way, both of you.
Thank you.
I hope you're both well. I want to ask a question in regard to Scientology. I've been thinking about it. As far as no one has asked this, I wonder, how do you do, suppose you're one of the few people who gets to OT3.
Uh-huh.
How do you do self-auditing? How do you know if the Satans are leaving? Does a supervisor check on you? Do you write things down?
Yep.
I mean, this is kind of confusing because how do you know if you're doing it correctly?
Right. No problem.
Is that pretty clear? Pardon?
Yeah, no problem. I can explain that.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So, in order to do the OT levels, the first thing that you do is a whole course called the Solo Auditor course. And it's delivered.
I didn't know there was one.
Yeah, there's a whole course for it, right? Everybody who goes on to the OT levels or has to do solo auditing for any reason, they have to do this course first. And it's extensive. Okay, this course is very extensive. You read a lot of Scientology books. You drill with the e-meter, and you have to go through all the e-meter drills, and I think there's about 25 or 26 of them. You have to go through all of them 5 times over.
Jesus.
At least that's how it was when I was in. What's that? Oh, okay, I'll continue. So you do these drills so that you know how to use an e-meter really, really well. And then you learn how to audit, but learning how to audit so that you can audit yourself. So you learn how to keep worksheets while you're running the meter, and you're holding the solo cans yourself. So you learn how to do it all with one hand. You run the meter.
Good grief.
Yeah, you keep the worksheets and you run the meter with one hand while you're holding the cans in the other hand. And
Have
you
you
learn
done
how to
this?
do that. And once you've got those skills down, that's the first part of the Solo Auditor course. Once you finish that, and it's not confidential, anybody can do that class. I used to deliver that, and I wasn't even OT, right? Anybody can do that part of the class. The second part is where things get confidential, because the second half of the course is where you start practicing actually auditing yourself. And the way that works is there's a prepared list of questions that you're asked, and you check them on the e-meter. So you're given this list, and you don't sit there and read the list first. You read it when you're in session, and you go into session, you set everything up, and you get everything started, and you start the session, and you tell yourself, this is the session, here we go, start a session, and you write down the time, and you write down what the meter's doing. And then you get your instructions out, and you're given your instructions in an envelope, so you don't open them until you go in the session. And you pull them out, and there they are. And you follow the instructions, which basically means asking yourself questions listed on the piece of paper.
Can you give an example of a question?
Yeah, I will. Now, in the beginning auditing that you do, it's general kind of questions. So there's a general list called an L1C. Okay, that's the technical name for the list. It's list 1 version C is what that really translates to. So you have this list, and it's a general list of questions of things that might upset somebody. Things that might be, that to check for upsets or problems that they're having. So the questions might be, do you have an ARC break? Do you have a present time problem? Has a withhold been missed? Has somebody made you wonder whether they knew something about you that they might know? has there been an upset in your life recently? Might be a question that would be there. Did somebody say something that didn't make sense to you? I mean, they're very general questions, but you get this, and you would go down this list, and you would be watching the needle on the e-meter while you're reading the questions. This is what the training is for, is so you learn how to do this. So when you reach the end of the question, you're trained to have your eyes on the e-meter to see if the needle responds to that question. And if it does, you're going to take that question up and you're going to do a little process with it. Right? If there's an upset, there's a special technique you use to handle that upset. And you would do that little technique. It really involves just asking yourself more questions. It's just a little technical, and that's why I'm kind of avoiding going into the details of it. Okay, but it's basically asking yourself questions, looking at the needle, and seeing what happens. Now, when you get to the actual OT levels, the questions are very, very different, or the commands that you're given are very, very different. And in the case of OT3, what you're doing is you are telepathically contacting the body thetans that are attached to your body. So you're sitting there not talking, but you're thinking, okay, where's the next body thetan? And you locate him, and then you have a little conversation with them, and the needle has to be moving in order for this to be relevant. If it's not moving in response to what you're thinking, then you're not achieving the problem, the process. You have to get the needle to respond. So you look for a thetan until the needle moves, and you go, there's the thetan. Okay, and then you're going to do this little process with the thetan, and you're writing everything down as you go, and you telepathically release that thetan, that body thetan, from your body. You wake him up and do whatever the process is. I actually don't remember right now the exact questions, but you do a series of questions. The thetan kind of takes off, and the needle starts floating. Does this kind of a motion like I'm making with my finger right now. That the needle moving back and forth like this on the e-meter indicates a floating needle, which means the thetan is gone. You did your job, and now you get to go on to another thetan, and you keep doing that until you got them all.
And that sounds just crazy.
Yeah,
I wondered,
it is. It's absolutely whack.
Lee Remini said when she got to OT3, and she kind of said, "What the devil?" And she was told, "You don't have to understand it. Just do it."
That's right.
Does that make any sense?
That's exactly right. And in fact, what I described here with watching the needle on the meter, that's the thing that sells it. Because Scientologists don't understand why the needle moves on the e-meter. They think it only moves because of what you're thinking about, or because of it's being influenced by thetans in the space around you.
Because it's just your heart beating or something.
Exactly. It's a physical it's measuring physicality. It's measuring sweat and muscle movement. That's what it's measuring. But they think...
Yeah, one guy said he got an electric shock and passed out.
Exactly. So it's not like this device is doing what they think it's doing. So,
gee, I didn't know that.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm just trying to point out the obvious here, but
I know, I'm just being facetious, really. But I think it's really a scam when they say, okay, you've done these thetans, but suddenly you've got clusters of the damn things.
Yep.
I mean, it just costs more and more money. Is my take on it. It's just a way to get money.
Exactly. That is exactly what Scientology is. You nailed it. And
thank you for answering my question.
Absolutely.
It's been a lot of fun because I always thought about this crazy auditing where you do it yourself, which is, and you're supposed to be psychic. Good God.
Yes, you are supposed to be psychic. Yes. It's crazy.
I think Doctor Strange makes more sense than this.
He does. He does. Thanks,
And have
Gail.
a good night. Thank you both. Have a good luck in your education, Chris and Melissa. You look great.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. Good deal. That's always fun. Yeah, I always love explaining the weird Scientology stuff. I didn't really do that full justice as far as all the little details of everything, because that was all just kind of off the top of my head. But you got to imagine that there's a person sitting in a room, staring at an e-meter, writing things down, not making any noises, and just basically sitting there talking to themselves. That's solo auditing. That's what it actually looks like. And I can explain all the little
nuts.
technical rigmarole, but at the end of the day, what it is it's somebody sitting in a room by themselves, staring at an e-meter, talking to themselves. That's what it is. And Hubbard convinced all these poor schleps. And, you know, and it really is sad. It tears my heart out that my parents were included in the people, in these poor schleps who engaged in that activity for hours and hours and hours. I'm talking about hundreds of hours of sitting in a room talking to yourself. That's where Scientology ends up taking you. And I've never really stressed it that way before, but that's kind of where you end up. And that's what Scientology does to you. So, right? And on that happy note, we've got Travis calling in. So let's pick this one up because he's always a blast. Hey, Travis.
Howdy.
Hey, how's it going, man?
Hello, Melissa.
Hello.
Oh, it's going well. I'm glad to hear that y'all had some exciting times in your excursions there.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. All right. As per usual, I have a Scientology-related series of questions here.
Yeah, what you got?
Now, Chris, this is Hubbard Communications Office policy letter. I don't expect you to remember specifically the letter, date, and time.
Uh-huh.
It was, this is for the audience's sake, it's 1 September of 1969, and it's counter-espionage.
Oh, yeah. Yep, I'm familiar with that policy. I don't remember exactly what it says, but I remember reading it.
Now, when you say you're familiar with it, did you encounter this as a quote-unquote management person at the regional level or continental level?
Yeah, no, I didn't. It's an OSA reference in the main. It's mostly operated with by Office of Special Affairs, so it wasn't something I was paying a lot of attention to or dealing with. The intelligence apparatus of Scientology wasn't where I was located, so that was a policy I don't think I saw until I might have seen it when I was in the church, but I don't remember seeing it until after I got out.
That surprises me. The letter itself seems to indicate that this is information that's commonly circulated. Well, that's my impression.
Yeah, no, it wasn't
commonly circulated.
No,
okay.
The intelligence stuff tended to be need to know kind of, not eyes only kind of stuff. But, Scientology has an interesting distribution system for its policy letters. And they have little codes on the top left corner of policy letters as to who it's supposed to go to. And some policies are limited distribution. I don't think this one is, but they end up in practice kind of being limited distribution anyway. Only a few people who kind of need to see it end up seeing it.
Well, I'll tell you something. Hubbard was sniffing a lot of glue when he wrote this one. So,
what you got?
Let me give you some nice little tidbits here.
Yeah.
And it says, so Hubbard himself wrote this. He starts by saying that no country or company has ever solved espionage and intelligence activities within it.
Yeah.
Okay, never. He's unilateral, which, okay.
Yeah,
so now he knows that. But
yep.
Now, he goes on to say that our policy letters are often found in wrong hands, and we must that Scientology has been subject to internal espionage. It doesn't talk about the extent of this internal espionage, but I mean, that's certainly been the case in the modern era after Anonymous. But it sounds to me like the guy, please comment on this. It sounds to me like the guy was just being paranoid.
Well, Hubbard was a very paranoid man, but he also was part of an organization that had been watched by government agencies. The FBI had their eyes on Scientology. In fact, they raided Scientology at the Washington, D.C. location in 1962. So Hubbard had some reasons for his paranoia. The other reason being that every time he gave a reporter the time of day, he seemed to regret it, because the story that came out almost uniformly would lampoon Hubbard and Scientology, and he really hated that. He really, really, really hated that. And I don't know that there was never a positive story about Scientology, but of course, Hubbard had a very different view of his subject than the rest of the world did. So that conflict was something that he was working with or fighting from the 50s forward, and he hated the media, and he ended up writing policies about how you just don't give the press interviews anymore because they never listen to you, and you can't trust the government, and you can't trust all these agencies. That's where all that stuff comes out of is. And of course, what he never acknowledged was what he did to deserve the negative attention and the negative press, So Hubbard was all about being the victim on that, and that's how he sort of wrote his policies and wrote his issues to Scientologists. Is we are the victims, we keep being victimized by these guys, and so we have to create our own intelligence apparatus so we can fight back against it.
All right, so there's a measure of grandiosity in his own mind, which isn't surprising considering how you've described the entire organization. This helps to give a lot of context to this. Now, just for the sake of clarity here, espionage, and it goes through a whole list. I'm not going to go through this. I'm going to summarize it. Espionage is defined as false reports, stealing information, these kind of things.
Yeah.
Okay. The old cloak and dagger stuff that you. Now, by the way, he in the policy. I'm going to get to the absolutely hysterical. Well, okay, pardon me. There is an absolutely hysterical part to this at the end of it. I'm going to save this to the end because it's so absurd and so ridiculous. It's Hubbard himself saying this. But before I get to that, I want to ask. This actually has a directive for Sea Org and orgs to have a placard up in somewhere inconspicuous in organizations.
Yep.
Yeah. So you know what I'm talking about then?
I do, because they are posted. I've seen those placards around in the orgs. Now,
there was a sum of money listed on the org letter.
Yep.
I'm not going to say it. How much money was it on there that you said that was the offer reward for counter espionage?
I forgot.
Reward?
I forgot. I thought maybe 10,000.
Oh, it's 10,000. Okay. Well, they upped it then because this one here said $1,000. I laugh at that.
Oh, 1,000. Yeah, it might be 1,000. I don't quote me. I was guessing. If it says 1,000, it's 1,000. It was never more than that.
Now for yet another display of Hubbard's, lack of, it's great. The name of the show here, this episode is Bad Critical Thinking.
Yes.
Well, here we go. This is Quaaludes and that cheaper version of that vodka y'all mentioned earlier produced this. Right. So Hubbard basically said pretty much the only reason why people conduct espionage activities is because they're in debt and they're broke and or they want money.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
100% of practically 100%, if not 100% of the time, that's why they do this. Now, let's get past the sophomoric nature of that. Here's a quote from him. He says, an inexpensive, effective solution has occurred to me that I don't think has ever been used. If finance is a majority of the reason why people do this, then it offer people money to not do it, basically, in order to be loyal to the system.
Yep.
Now, I changed up the wording a little bit there, but literally that's what he says in the policy letter.
Yeah, exactly.
Make it more worth their while to turn people in.
Yep.
Essentially with rewards.
Yep.
And the fact that he says that it's never been thought of before. Now he's saying it never been thought of by the FBI, by the CIA, by the KGB. None of the big boys have ever thought of this wonderful idea that Hubbard
apparently not. Nobody's ever heard of a reward before. Nobody's ever heard of, being financially rewarded for information before. No, apparently this has never occurred before September 1969. Yeah.
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 And that's our friend Hubbard there.
That's right.
I read that and I thought, this would be funny had the guy not been so serious.
Yeah, exactly.
Which he was serious, and at some point, I would expect that people in Scientology would seriously question this guy's intellectual capabilities. But from what you've told me, it never gets to that point. They're just true believers. They're like, oh yeah.
That's right.
This dude's awesome.
Well, even if they acknowledge his shortcomings or his foibles, they routinely push that aside or rationalize it with, yes, but look at the scope and magnitude and genius of all this work called Scientology, right? How can you deny these volumes of books and all these lectures and all this material and all these happy people, all because of L. Ron Hubbard? So sure, he wasn't perfect, but look at what he did, right? That's the mindset that lets that kind of crap go on.
Well, I would say that mindless babble, regardless of how it's articulated, is still mindless babble.
Correct. And that's what I've been seeing more clearly lately is how did I ever fall for this crap? Jesus, it's just nothing but babble. But
no, I understand that. And and look, I've fallen for stuff you won't even believe. Look, if we ever had a conversation offline, you would be like, oh man, being a Scientologist was like way better than what this guy used to be involved with. But
yeah, I hear you.
At the end of the day, I wouldn't have let Hubbard around heavy machinery on a good day.
Yeah, I agree with you. He was very incompetent, man. He knew how to sail a ship. I'll give him that. He was truly competent at that. But otherwise, I wouldn't trust that guy with anything. Okay. Yeah.
Well, good. And thank you for taking my call today. And Melissa, I like your comments, your quotes that you have there. Those are very important to keep going with that in the show. I think it provides a lot to your audience.
Thank you.
And I would expect that you keep doing that. Now, it's up to you, by the way. But
no, I want to. Yeah.
Regardless, thank you for taking my call, you guys, and have a great night, okay?
You bet. Thanks, man. All right. Good. So with that, we are slightly over, and we're going to wrap up our show with our critical thinking cards, of course, because how could we not? And we'll probably take this topic up again, but watch the podcast tomorrow, because we go into some detail on this that I didn't get to tonight because we took calls, which was 100% on plan, and I am not at all regretful about that. But check out the show tomorrow, because I think there's more on this topic you guys are going to want to see and hear and know about. All right, pick a card, any card.
It doesn't want to be picked.
Belief
bias. Have we done this one?
Probably. Well, I think we've probably done them all at this point, but. All right, this is a bias. It is called belief bias. If a conclusion supports your existing beliefs, you'll rationalize anything that supports it. Now, I've talked about this over and over and over again, belief bias. It's difficult for us to set aside our existing ideas to consider the true merits of an argument. In practice, this means that our beliefs become impervious to criticism and are perpetually reinforced. A useful thing to ask is when and how did I get this belief? And that's exactly right, because it's questions like that that keep you honest. And that might be a good way of thinking about it, is how do I check myself? How do I check myself before I wreck myself? But how do you do it? Because everybody's kind of different. Everybody's got their own thing. But whatever you do it. Make a practice, make the discipline of doing it, because it's only through repetition and practice that our brains learn anything. And this is something we got to learn. Nobody knows all this stuff just organically or naturally. They just don't. So that is exactly how bad critical thinking happens. Exactly. Okay, guys, thank you very much. Hey, hon, you are awesome for tuning in every week. We really appreciate your viewership from the UK.
Yeah.
Staying up so late to see us every week. We love that, because we just, love our viewers. That's critics.
For sure.
You critics out there.
Critics.
That's right. Okay, guys. So let's go ahead and wrap it up for this week. I will see you guys over the weekend if you tune into the show. Otherwise, we will see you next Friday.
Yeah. Have a good night.
All right.